All right, what's up, guys? I am back and settled from ATC and from Chattanooga, and I'm going to go over today my matchups, the event, and a cool story I have about this guy. So stick around. Here we go.
We hold this ground in the name of the Primer!
All right, so I already have a video I posted before I went to the event about my list specifically, but I figured I'd just throw it at the beginning here. I'll go over super quick. If you want to see more in-depth coverage on like why I'm playing certain things, etc., etc., it's the last video I posted. It's called like trucks up the middle or something, but go check that out if you want a more detailed description of this. But I played Warhorde Orks. Very simple. I played 3 War Boss, 3 Beast Boss, 3 10-man Beast Snaggas, 2 Breaka Boys with the Tank Hammer, 3 5-man Knobs, all with Power Claws. 3 10-man Gretchen was fantastic, by the way. The 3rd Gretchen unit was outrageously good. 1 5-man Luda unit with a custom Mega Blaster, and that guy, I have that dude, that one custom Mega Blaster guy, I have an awesome story about. He did like 4 or 3 awesome things over the weekend. This model, this little guy, this 10-point doofus, did fantastic work for me this weekend. It's whatever you're thinking, like triple it, by the way. And then I have 1 5-man Stormboy unit and 6 Strucks. All right, so next slide, I'll be breaking down the matchups and also kind of what I'm looking for in the pairing process to go for big wins. All right, so while I don't love Orks for singles tournaments, I do think they are very good in teams, especially when you can kind of fish out matchups and things like that. So when we're pairing in an 8-man team process, when I tell my captain or I tell myself, hey, okay, I want this matchup or this matchup, these are sort of the things that I'm looking for in their list to help tell me that, okay, I'll be able to do the things that I want to do and hopefully go get 17, 18, 19, 20-point wins. So first one with my list specifically is how well do they pop trucks? And what I mean by that is my first turn is I'm going to shove like probably 5 trucks right in their face in front of their entire army. And what happens is they'll end up shooting like, a last cannon at it and they'll like 8 wounds to the truck. And it's like, cool, the truck's about to die. Then they have to waste like a second last cannon or some other sort of like other truck killing gun to finish off the truck. And then what ends up happening is they kill like 2 or 3 trucks. Like I would say like a bad is like they get like 4 of the trucks, right? But then what happens is they shot all their guns to kill these trucks, and then your entire army just falls out in the middle of the table. And then they're out of stuff to do, and then they pass the turn back to you, and then you just call the wall and you get to run everything up. So what does hurt though is if they're able to pop like 2 or 3 trucks, let's just call it 2, and then they have enough guns to like turn at the guys that fell out of the truck and then shoot and just kill them as well. That is a bad scenario for you. However, in all the matchups I played, that only ever happened once, and that was a matchup I think it was bad from the start. But combined arms factions can do it pretty well. Like if they're like they line up a melee unit right in front of a truck, and then they shoot the truck to death, and then they charge what's inside and kill it. But at the end of the day, you're still like Orks, So if they're charging you, a lot of time they're not going to kill your whole unit, and you get to crack back and kill a couple of them. Especially with Knobs when they just get to sit there and be -1 to wound. It's kind of nice, but that's what I look at first. All my 20-0s are like big wins, including the 19. When I shoved the trucks in the middle, I lost like 1 or 2, and then I just called the wall from there. So that's like what I'm looking for in that regard. Generally, like low activation, high value gun lines are bad into your list or into like the trucks, right? The next thing I look at is how well do they stack up against your melee profile. So you're essentially hitting them with two different profiles that you care about, right? You have your Power Claws, which is strength 10 on the wall, AP 2 damage, and your Breaka unit, which is essentially anti-vehicle 4+, low volume of attacks. And then obviously you have Mr. Beast Snagga himself, who does the dev wounds. So the biggest variable there is actually the Knobs, who end up being your hardest hitters over the course of 5 turns, believe it or not. That unit was awesome. So the Knobs you kind of want to look at their list. Okay, are they -1 damage all over the place? Are they -1 to hit? Because -1 to hit / -1 to damage knobs kind of suck because you're hitting on like 4s and then you're doing 1 damage and that kind of thing. So if your knobs kill their list really effectively, like top to bottom, 9 times out of 10, that is like a very good matchup for you. So just be on the lookout for that because you're looking for 4s with your Breakas and 4s with your Beast Nega boss to kill the stuff that you want to kill with them. So they don't really care that much. So you're looking at really the knobs are like your variable and like what they're going to be going after. But luckily in all my matchups, the knobs were very good. So that's what I look at there. Then the next thing is how do they shoot you back? Because generally the play pattern for the army, right? Trucks in the middle, some amount of trucks would get blown up. You charge with like 5, 6, 7 units of yours into essentially their deployment zone at that point or their expansion. And then you don't obviously kill their entire army on the WA turn, though you do weaken them a bunch. But then they turn around and shoot you with whatever's left, right? So what we want to look at is do they have a ton of guns that have a lot of value in a toughness 5 up armor / invulnerable save idiots. So generally this part doesn't matter quite as much. This is more for like mid-late game or just kind of insurance if your WA turn bounces a little bit. But for the most part, you're looking for like, are they shooting like 3 last cannons at you? Are they shooting, strength 12, AP 3, damage D6 with 1 guns at your Beast Negas, that kind of stuff? The best gun shooting me this whole weekend was the Gladiator Reaper, I think is what it's called. Obviously, that's designed to kill me, and my opponent did a good job of protecting it, but once I finally got a hold of that and took it out of the game, Vindicators actually aren't that good at shooting Orks if it's not Oathed, believe it or not. Vindicators into like a WA turn Beast Nega unit kills like 3 or 4, and like who cares, right? But yeah, we're looking for that. And then the next one is low model count. And what I mean by that is you ideally want your opponent to have a lot of high value models or high value units, because the more good stuff they have, the less activations they have to kill your like 12 or 13 data sheets that are running around attacking them. So think like Imperial Big Knights, bricks of Space Marines, 10-man units of stuff that could be 5-man, all that kind of stuff. Just anything you can kind of take advantage of and activation lock your opponent. Next is Scout / Infiltrate. This is probably the biggest one, honestly, because if they have Scout / Infiltrate, that's really going to bog down when you try and drive the trucks in the middle if they decide to like move block you or whatever. So that's one of the reasons I threw the Storm Boys and Ludas into the list, because those units can go out and kind of commit to getting rid of those so I can WA on turn 3. But yeah, Scout / Infiltrate and then charging into you with those types of units really does hurt, and that's a big reason that I got 20-0'd in my game against Drukhari. And then lastly, and this is a little bit more matchup specific, but if they have a lot of transports with good things inside of those transports, it's actually really bad for you, because what ends up happening is you can't kill them without charging them, right? You can't blow the transports up. So unless you double charge it and pile in and hope that you get a huge chunk of damage on the stuff that falls out, you're going to end up running your WA turn into like 4 or 5 transports, and then they get to shoot you with all their army essentially before you get to go play with them. So think like the mirror match is like really weird, actually. Like if someone was to play the same truck sort of thing against me, that would be really bad. And then something like Votan with like 5 Sagittars, that's really bad for you, because you can't, you have no way to get him out of the transports, and you'll just die. Your trucks will slowly die because they can actually shoot. And other things like, I don't know, maybe Emperor's Children to some extent, but I like that matchup overall. But just transports, just be careful of transports essentially. And then something else you're looking for is them having no access to fallback, shoot, and charge. Now, this is actually gigantic, and I think a very underrated thing to look for when you're playing Orks, because keep in mind, I think this list has 19 unique units in it, and that's counting the 6 trucks. So what that means is you can effectively remove a unit from the game with a truck, if that makes sense. So I did that in my round against World Eaters, where like they had 8-bound, and I just rammed 2 trucks into 8-bound. Like I'm never gonna kill them, but those 8-bound are now essentially out of the game because I have 2 trucks chasing them down forever. So this is an incredibly valuable thing to look for, especially when you're playing like a huge unit count list like Orks, because you can turn a truck into denying them accessing like a 200-point unit for 1 or 2 turns essentially. And lastly, the matchup is far, far, far more important than your layout when you're playing something like what I'm playing. And I'll be like, oh, I want layout 7, I want layout 8. No, you don't really care. You do not care what layout you're on. You want to find the army that can't beat you, basically, when you're playing Orks. So that is what I'm looking for in pairings. And then now I have all my matchups. I'm going to do a brief little run through and my custom Mega Blasta story, because that might be one of the most outrageous sequence of events that I've ever had in my entire Warhammer career. Actually, second most. I have another one, but yes. Here we go. Alrighty, so my 5 rounds were all awesome. I had great opponents every single round, by the way. It was an amazing event. So round 1, I got paired into Demonic Incursion, pretty much Khorne Demon focused Chaos Demons on layout 7. So for me, going back to kind of what I'm looking for in a matchup is, number 1, are they able to multi-phase to kill the things in trucks? That answer is no, because he was 100% melee focused, which means that the guys in my truck are basically always going to hit first, because he can charge God itself into a truck, and my guys get to fall out and charge him next turn. You know what I'm saying? So from the rip, I knew this was going to be a really, really favorable matchup for me. So what I had to do was just make sure I go catch the differential. Now, we were playing take and hold, so that puts me on a clock, because for those who don't know, if your opponent scores 50 points, they're automatically out of 21 or 20-0 contention. So I knew I had to put my foot on the gas and try and get him basically off out of the game by like turn 3 or 4. So he was playing a double Bloodthirster, Scarbrand, some of the dudes riding the Juggernauts, and they 2 or 3 Flesh Hounds. Just like, you're a pretty solid, honestly, Berserker or a Khorne Demon list that can just run at me and kill me. I was able to screen out the 6-inch Deep Strike the entire game from Scarbrand and the pickups from the Flesh Hounds. So that was really good. That shout out to the Gretchen. They do a great job at that kind of stuff. Essentially, all I did was I had my Storm Boys and my Ludas play turn 1, where they got him off primary and killed, trash or whatever. And then I put 4 trucks on the middle point, all sideways, 1 on my expansion and 1 on his expansion, to make sure that I kind of force him to have to play the game over there. He then saw that and said, oh, okay, I now have to go kill all the trucks, rightfully so. So he did end up charging both Bloodthirsters, the Chariots, basically everything into the 4 trucks in the middle. And he did kill all of them, I think, except for 1. But, that is exactly what I'm hoping for in that scenario, right? So, and what ends up happening there is my guys all fall out behind the trucks. He may be able to tag like 1 of them, but, sure. And then I just look at the board. I'm like, okay, his entire army is within like 15 inches of mine. I call the law, and essentially I sort of ran the game over from there. I left 1 Bloodthirster on 1 after a tank shock and a grenade. He had 3 wounds left, and I tank shocked and grenaded it, and did 2 wounds total, so I left him on 1. He healed back to 4 on his turn with the battle shock, whatever. But all in all, it was a really solid matchup. It is exactly what I was looking for in terms of pairing. So I was able to go and get my team at 20-0, and we did win the round 1. So round 2 was also really good as well. Round 2, I played against World Eaters on layout 8. This is another matchup that I told my team, hey, look, I really want to go after this one, because he only has 2 activations that can kill a truck through a Forge Fiend. And if the Forge Fiend wants to consistently blow up a truck, it has to be, within 18 inches. And if you're within 18 inches of me, I am fine. That is a good amount of inches to be away from me. And honestly, it doesn't kill a truck always anyways, because it has to get through four wounds. So, it's very possible the truck just doesn't die in this scenario. And in fact, he left the truck on 2 wounds with it or something on a shooting, which was good for me. He did do the right thing where he kind of charged me early with some spawn and berserkers, or 8-bound. But the real MVP of this game, and I want to tell you the story right now, is this guy. This, if you guys don't know, it's sort of like my conversion or whatever, is a custom Mega Blasta guy. So the Luda unit has 4 def guns and 1 custom Mega Blaster. So what happened was, turn 1, the spawn killed a truck that got blown up and killed 4 of my Ludas and left that guy alive for outside of 4 inches from where the spawn could go touch him. Okay? And this gentleman proceeded to look at 3 8-bound on the middle point, hit all 3 shots with his custom Mega Blaster, wound with all 3 shots, and then my opponent fails all 3 invulnerable saves. So he goes 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage, basically, and kills an entire 8-bound unit. And then, now, you're probably like, that's a great job for a 10-point guy, right? Now, what have I told you? Turn 3, this freak does it again. He goes 3 for 3 on his hits. Mind you, he was fully rolling to hits because he's a Luda, because he was on a point. But he goes 3 for 3 again with hitting on 5s. My opponent goes 0 for 3 on saves, and he kills 3 8-bound again. Craziness. Now, again, that's not it, by the way. Now, turn 4. There's 3 more 8-bound that just finished killing my knobs. They're standing in no man's land, not on a point. Would you believe that this guy... He hits with 2, and then he rolls a 1, and Ludas, if they're not on a point, still reroll 1s. He rerolls the 1, and hits, and he kills all 3 again. Dude, he killed this, and then it failed his hazardous and killed himself. So once he said to the 8-bound, they're out of the game, I guess that's it for me. And he finally killed himself. But this 10-point guy killed, 450 points of 8-bound over the course of the game, and then himself. So technically, he killed 460 points of stuff that game. Now, mind you guys, I didn't just get lucky in this matchup. Like, all of the things were gonna die that turn. It's just like this dude just went absolutely crazy. Wanted to share that story, but the matchup itself very similar to the first one. Fight on death is very prevalent in this matchup. So you just get to do the same thing with the trucks. He kills a couple, sure, and then you call the wah and kill him. I was able to basically one-tap everything on my wah turn and leave him on Karn and 1 8-bound unit. And the game sort of snowballed in my favor from there. And I posted a picture. He put Exalted 8-bound in my deployment zone, and I just kind of put him in truck jail. Like I said, I put 2 trucks into his Exalted 8-bound, and they didn't even get to play the game. So that was a fantastic round, a wonderful opponent, and my custom Mega Blaster guy. I think I might need a name and perhaps a promotion to mech or something fun. But yeah, I was very, very cool of that guy to do that. So moving on to round 3, which was a little sad for me. All right, round 3 was a very, very bad round for me. It's one of the few times in my entire life that I've been 20-0'd, especially playing a faction that I think I'm good with. So was a very, very good player on a team that we actually lost the round to. He was playing Drakari with Reaper's Wager, and the major issue with this matchup specifically is the Beastmaster units. So he was playing 3 of them. For those who don't know, that is a 7 or 8 thing unit with 4 different data sheets in it that scouts at 9 or 8. They move 12, and they can advance a charge for 1 CP. In Reaper's Wager. So what ended up happening is I went second, so he was able to essentially jail me and put me in my deployment zone. 1 Beastmaster unit was able to charge and tag 3 of my trucks. Another one was able to do the thing that I said is bad, where they can pop a truck in shooting and then charge the guys inside and kill those. That is an exact bad scenario for me. Now, that truck that I just described, I could have probably had in a safer spot, but frankly, once I saw I was going second in this matchup, I was like, this is not good. And this player was also fantastic. He ended up going 5-0 with all 18s or better. And honestly, a bad matchup for me, frankly. So he pretty much did that turn 1, and from there I was on the back foot the whole game. At one point I thought maybe I was in an okay position, and then I just couldn't deal with the fights first Court of Archon or whatever it's called, and the game just sort of slowly went downhill, and I could score primary because it was hidden supplies, so you're only scoring the middle on primary, and I just had no agency in doing that, and ended up just being a rough game for me. Things I could have changed. I think if I deploy maybe a way more conservatively, I could probably pull out like a 17-3 or something. But I believe this matchup is cursed because he has Haywire everywhere, Dark Lances everywhere, and then he has like a lot of activations that kill infantry really specifically in Drukhari. So hindsight, probably be scared of this matchup going forward if you're playing Orks, especially if you're playing like a Warhorde heavy list. But overall, he was a great opponent. It was a great game. I learned what I need to make sure I'm avoiding. And I did get 20-0, unfortunately, and my team lost the round by quite a bit. So it's not like I was the reason we lost, I guess. But yeah, we did lose that round, unfortunately. It's a great team, great players. And we're moving on to my round 4. All right, round 4 was a very textbook game of exactly everything that I've told you guys about how I want to play this list. Literally, he went first and wasn't super aggressive with his castigators and things like that. He just set up to have good firing lanes, probably like he should have. He went and tagged points like he was also supposed to, just to force me to play. But I did the Orc thing where I looked at the board and I was like, okay, here's 5 trucks in the middle. My Ludas were able to kill the guys that stood on the point on the far side, and my Storm Boys were able to go stand and contest the other one. So I put them on just the 5 primary for Scorched Earth. And once you put them on the 5 primary on their top of 2, then they're pretty much buried from there because you're calling the wall after that, right? So he leaves all my trucks, popped out all of his castigators, and killed two trucks. He killed 2 trucks with basically all of his shooting activations. Or 3 actually, because he had one with Meltas he did pop. But the problem is, and it is again the same principle that I've explained to you guys, is if you pop the trucks, it doesn't really matter because the guys inside are what matter. And he did not have any activations left to interact with the dudes inside because he played further back. So I essentially just called the wall again from the middle of the table. I killed all 3 castigators. On that turn, I killed all of his transports except for 2, but the 2 that I left alive, I essentially boxed into the back corner with Beast Negas, and I didn't blow them up on purpose. Like I picked all of the weaker profiles that I had options to, and I split attacks as much as I could, and I did not reroll hits. Now, if you guys are curious, maybe why I did that is, if you don't know, you can't disembark normally, from what I understand, if you can't disembark, right? Now, if I was to blow them up, he would get 6 inches to get out instead of the normal 3 because he'd be doing an emergency disembark. If you just can't get out of a transport, as far as I know, as far as I've seen, you are stranded inside of the transport, and that was my intention down there. So I essentially removed 2 transports and all the guys inside from the game without having to destroy it. And that's like a video I might actually make in the future. It's kind of a really cool tool to use when you're trying to push differential with like weaker units and how they can take advantage of stuff like that. But yeah, the matchup, like, it's really not much to tell in this matchup. I did hit a 6-for-6 grenade with my War Boss, which is very cool. I went grenade, I went 6-for-6. That's not something you see every day, and that was very fun. Again, though, not like, it didn't really matter, but it's insult to injury, unfortunately for him. He ended the game with just more of Invol's unit left running around. I tend to ignore big units like that, frankly, because like they don't really impact score once you have like the WA turn out of control. So yeah, that ended up being a 20-0 for me. And then our team, we actually tied this, we lost this round by 1 point. We were 1 away from tying. There was some questionable things that happened in some of the other games, maybe a few rules issues and some other stuff, but overall it was a great round, and I was able to pull out a 20-0. And I think if some things happen differently or correctly, we either win or tie this round like every time. So kind of an unfortunate loss for us there. And then my final round was against another fantastic opponent. He was playing Gladius Ultramarines with 3 Vindicators, a Gladiator Reaper, 2 Ballistus Dreadnought, and a Gladiator Lancer or whatever. So, and I played him on layout 7. And honestly, layout 7 is not the invincible shooting layout that it used to be before, but it was honestly favorable for me. This game was a great game. Obviously, I had to play a little more cagey with the trucks because he did have the firepower to kind of nuke them with Double Oath and like Vindicators and Lancers and Ballistas. Those all kill truck kind of efficiently. So what I ended up having to do, I sort of had to call my wall from behind that little ruin, which means that like my charges end up being like 5s and 6s instead of 3s and 4s like it's usually. And what happened is I called the wall when he had to kind of come out and play the game with his Vindicators and such, and I had an opportunity to kill essentially 2 Vindicators, a Reaper, and like another like 2 units like that were kind of like garbage or whatever. And I bounced a little bit. I was able to kill 1 Vindicator, and then I missed a 5-inch rolling charge with my Beast Snag unit, which would have confirmed the 2nd Vindicator, and then he would have put his crackback with basically his crackback into my entire army would have been 1 Vindicator, 1 Reaper, Gilliman, and Calgar. And honestly, like that sounds like a lot, but I have so much stuff it like wouldn't have mattered. But the 2nd Vindicator ended up costing me like another entire unit, which ended up being like a factor in this game for sure. But looking back on it, I actually had a way to make that charge essentially a 2, and I didn't see it until after I CP rerolled it. So yeah, I can blame the dice, sure, but a very healthy habit is to not blame the dice. Yeah, don't blame the dice, please. Try not to, at least. Sometimes it sucks, but like I have 2 options there. I can either be like, oh, I've missed a 5-inch rolling charge, this game sucks, or I can be like, oh, well, how could I have made this charge a 2-inch charge? And the answer was I had an intercessor unit kind of like right to my left to where I could have charged them, move blocked myself like I've shown in like another video, and then had the Beast Boss pile in and tag the Vindicator and then kill it that way. But as it stands, I left the Vindicator on 1 wound. I was able to kill it with Sluggas the next turn instead of having, or something like that because it was hilarious. And then I had to play the rest of that game, honestly, very, very, very well. And not to toot my own horn, but I think that like I very easily could have lost this game. And I played the back half, like the back half more simplified part of this game very well and very like intelligently. I don't really want to break. It's like kind of a lot to break down, but just know that I was doing some very fancy, tricky stuff, and it was a very, very fun way to end the game versus just kind of like rolling over my opponent. If I was to have blown up that Vindicator on my WOD turn, this round probably ends up being like a 16 or a 17 point win for me. As it stood, I ended up getting a 14 out of it, which secured me best in faction, which was awesome. I felt very good at getting that. Here's my very fun best in faction thing. See. Thumbnail incoming. But yeah, guys, that's really the whole event. Overall, my team finished 3-2. I think that like our ceiling at that event was probably 4-1 or 3-1-1 based on that one round that was a little questionable. Orks felt like a great drop for our team. I think that if I had dodged Drukhari or maybe found a different matchup that round against Monstars, I could have very easily went 5-0 with this list. If you like the list, definitely try it out. I will say this is not something that I would play at like a tournament, like a RTT or something like that. You want to have a few more things to trade and get rid of things with, like commandos, maybe like another Luda unit. If you were to play it like an RTT or something more singles focused. And then the last thing is like, do I want to make any changes to the list? If I was playing a team event like tomorrow, would I make any changes? And the answer would be yes. I would actually cut the Breakas for a Gaz package. So I'd go Gaz and 2 Mega Knobs over the Breakas, and then I think you can fit like another, like a Burna unit or a second loot unit or whatever on top of that. Just because I think that Gaz is like just a durable piece that fits in really well with what you're trying to do. And the Breakas like were fine. They weren't bad. They just die instantly. They have like 0 durability. They should have a 3-up armor save, but yeah, don't ask me. But like they just like go and blow something up and then die like instantly. Knobs are like -1 to wound, and like they're like useful. They don't die right away. But you know, overall, like Breakas switch for Gaz. I think this list is basically what it'll be for like a team event going forward. But yeah, that's it. That's the event, guys. It was awesome. Very much fun. Thank you to Away Games, JD, for hosting fantastic ATC event, Chattanooga. I have an RTT this weekend, but I'm probably taking this weekend off. So be on the lookout for a couple more like tactics videos this week. And if you guys are still watching at this point, you know, post some names for this guy. If anyone wants to name this dude, I'm totally down for it. Again, that's one of the craziest things that I've ever been a part of in a Warhammer game. So honestly, like and subscribe. Thank you so much. We're past 300 subs. It's very cool. We're like 315, 317 when I'm making this video. So let's go for it. You know, my goal is hit 1,000 and we'll keep going from there. So thank you guys. Have a good one.